From the moment we are born, the world around us begins to shape who we are. Our senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, act as the gateways through which we learn, explore, and understand everything in our lives. But what happens when the very tools we use to perceive the world can also shape or distort the truth? Each of us uses our senses to navigate reality. Our eyes take in the visual world, helping us understand shapes, colors, and movements around us. Our ears hear sounds, voices, music, the rustle of leaves that guide us through our interactions and environment. Our skin tells us about the textures and temperatures that make up the tangible world. These senses work together, feeding us information to help us make decisions, form judgments, and ultimately learn. But perception is not just about what we observe. It is how we interpret these observations, how we make sense of the sensory data. Our brain takes the signals from our senses and fills in the gaps, creating a narrative about what is real. That narrative influences our understanding of right and wrong, good and bad, truth and falsehood. Memory plays a crucial role in how we interpret our perceptions. We draw from past experiences to make sense of new ones. Yet, memory is not always reliable. It can be colored by emotion, time, and context, sometimes distorting the truth of what actually happened. A smell, a song, or even a simple phrase can trigger memories that might not be entirely accurate, but they feel real. And that feeling, that perception, guides our understanding of the world. An example of this may be when you were a child. You remember your father yelling at you because you did something that put you in danger. You remember how ashamed you felt about being scolded by your father. But as you grew older, you realized that your father was just trying to protect you from harm. Our senses can even lead us to different truths. What one person sees, another might miss entirely. A simple disagreement can arise from the fact that we all experience the same event with different sensory inputs, leading to vastly different interpretations. This is why truth can sometimes seem elusive, because our perceptions of the world are not always shared, and memory is not always clear. Take optical illusions, for example. The way our eyes interpret light and shadow can make us see something that isn't there or miss something that is. Similarly, the way we hear a sound can trick our minds into thinking it's coming from somewhere it's not. These distortions show how our senses can mislead us, creating a reality that might not align with objective truth. So, how do we discern what is true? We rely on more than just our individual senses. We compare, question, and seek consensus. However, consensus does not mean that something is true. Nowhere is this more prevalent than in the political arena, where gross distortions of the truth are told to facilitate political propaganda. By communicating with others, we gather multiple perspectives, helping to fill in the gaps our senses alone may leave behind. In learning, this process is essential. Education involves challenging our perceptions, questioning our assumptions, and testing our senses against new information. It is through this process that we refine our understanding of what is true, and, perhaps more importantly, what is not. But even as we grow older, our senses continue to shape our perceptions of reality. They help us make sense of the world, but they also challenge us to ask deeper questions. What do we know? What have we misunderstood? And how can we refine our perceptions to align more closely with reality? And that is the very definition of truth. That truth is a correspondence between the intellect and the thing being understood. For example, a thought is true if it conforms to reality, and a person is true if they conform to the conception of what a person should be. The world is vast, and the senses are our primary link to it. They allow us to learn, to explore, and to understand. Yet they also remind us that truth is not always as it seems. It is shaped by what we see, hear, taste, smell, and feel, and we also remember that which has passed. In the end, Knowing what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false, is a journey. A journey that begins with the senses, but never ends with them.